Well, hello guys. Welcome to the Elsa Kurt Show. I am Elsa Kurt, and I'm so glad you're here to join us because we've got a great show for you. See you in a minute. Well, hello guys. With me today, I have the AJ Rice. He is my favorite descriptor here is Star Whisperer. You are so many things, but you're the CEO of Publius PR. You're an author of Woking Dead, which is what we're going to be talking about today, and I'm so excited to hear about this. So thank you so much for joining.
Great to be here. Really, you're a patriot. I'm a big fan.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. And as are you. You're pretty incredible. Just going over your catalog of accomplishments and everything that you are and that you do. You are connected to some very very big conservative names, and you really help create their careers. I don't know what's going on today, but I can't speak. So that alone is pretty incredible. Tell me a little bit of background, if you don't mind, of how you got into this lane.
Well, Washington, D.C. was looking for a conservative Ari Gold, so I decided to fill the void there, conservative Jerry Maguire. But I didn't start there. My background's in English literature first, and then some political science after 9/11. I studied that. I worked on the Hill. I was involved in a special election of a Republican congressman, oh man, all the way back in '04. And then I came to D.C., and Laura Ingraham plucked me out of Capitol Hill, basically hired me as a associate producer. Remember the first time she told me to book a guest, she said to me, go get me Andrew McCarthy. I'm like, the guy from the Brat Pack, from Some Kind of Wonderful? What are you talking about, Andrew McCarthy? It's so funny. I worked on McCarthy's books over the last year or so, a couple years. It was actually the last one was the Obama, I think it was the Obama impeachment book. But it was funny. Ingram hired me. I was there for a long time. I was her on-air sidekick, kind of. It's kind of like what Bernie was to Imus. And then from there, I moved and started doing stuff for Monica Crowley. I did a show with John Solomon at the Washington Times. I was brought in to help out with Glenn Beck's launch of the Blaze Radio Network. And the guys I oversaw there were Buck Sexton and Chris Salcedo. So, at this point I was batting 500, for sure. And then look, the radio syndication company I was working with sort of collapsed, and I started doing PR about a decade ago. And we've worked with everyone from Don Jr. to, Judge Jeanine Pirro, Victor Davis Hanson, many people. A lot of New York Times bestsellers. So that's sort of my background and pedigree. I'm from Philadelphia, as I'm sure your audience can tell from this accent. But look, The Woking Dead is fun, right? Like it's horrific what we're going through, but like Andrew Breitbart used to say to me, it's time to hang a joke on these people. We can, let the uptight people make the serious arguments. We're here to mock them.
Absolutely. AJ, I'm right there with you. That is, part of my shtick most of the time, to be, making fun and trying to get people to laugh at some of this, because, we're really at a point, and we've been at this point for a long time, that if we don't start laughing, we're in big trouble. We're already in big trouble in so many ways. But if we can't find a lighter side, I think our heads are going to explode. So I love what you're doing with this. And I love the whole concept of your book. I love that you broke it up into these sections, and your headers, your chapter headers are phenomenal. For that alone, it's a must-read book, and I hate to be so shallow about it, but they're just great. I think there's something in there about meat puppet, which I just love.
Well, the president, right? He's basically America's meat puppet. I mean, look, he's dancing on the strings of somebody. I don't know whether it's Ron Klain or Susan Rice, no relation, by the way. But he's basically the gift that keeps on giving to the deep state, to the squad, to the woke, nutty people that control the federal government. Because he's like Ron Burgundy, where he'll read whatever you put in front of him. He'll sign whatever you put in front of him. I mean, he comes from these are not, look, he ran for president 3 times before he supposedly won. So this is a person that has been getting paid from us for 50 years. He comes from a family of grifters,
Mhm.
never signed the front of a paycheck. So I mean, and it's like this trash can where you could just fill it with woke potpourri, and he'll say and do whatever the people around him, tell him to do. This is why, by the way, he's always kind of lost on stage. I mean, other than the fact that he probably has, sundowners or something. I mean, he's got something where he's lost a lot of mph off his fastball. And I've met him a bunch of times.
Mm.
And because, back when he was just a loser senator from Delaware, he would hang out in the green rooms of America. So I would come in with Monica or Laura, because Schumer's kind of like this too, where, they're just media whores and they hang out and do that. But I got to tell you, the Biden I met back then, when I walked in with Ingram, he's like, Ingram, I like, God love you, Ingram. He's doing his
His shtick, yeah.
malarkey. Yeah, he's doing his schmucky, Irish Catholic thing. And he was with it. He
Mhm.
really was. This guy that's up there now, and all these liars in the media know it because they've all been around him. Because he's been sort of the senior senator from nowhere that's just been grazing the free buffets of DC for 50 years. So they know that he used to be more of a backslapping, gregarious, with it guy, and he's not
Right.
anymore. This is
No,
not. I mean,
it's
look. We all have all kinds of names for him. It's kind of sad. It's like elder abuse. But I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, he was not always like this. He
mhm,
wasn't. He was much more of an affable pain in the rear end.
mhm. Well, yeah, and I think that's part of the mistake that people are making right now. It's a bizarre one to make. They're feeling bad for him, like, oh, this poor baffled old man, elder abuse, all of these things. But I think a lot of people who say that also forget what a piece of garbage he's always been. In the things that he has said in his lucid days, pretty atrocious, pretty bad, like things that the woke community lose their minds over if one of
Sure.
us even implied or suggested or hinted at even a quarter of the things that he has said in his non-senile days. And yeah, and I've gotten flack too for well, I don't know if you've gotten flack. I will ask that. I've gotten flack for making fun of his cognitive lack of cognitive ability. And oh, the poor guy, it's so sad, that's not fair. And
Well,
but like,
yeah.
this is the leader of this country, leader of this country. We don't have time for somebody to be a poor, sad sack that we're feeling bad for. So you've been in the trenches for a long time now. You've watched all of this happen, and yeah, I mean, your thoughts on on Biden's
Well, yeah. I mean,
cognitive.
look, he's kind of like a C-level knockoff Archie Bunker type guy. And you know what happens when an old racist loses their mind? Some of the stuff you've been hearing come out of his mouth. I mean,
Yes.
if you don't vote for me, you're not black. The screaming, the pitch and tone going up and down, and just sort of shuffling about. I mean, he's really. It's kind of what he's like. It's like what would happen if Archie Bunker got, dementia.
Yeah.
But even look, this guy, he came to D.C. He's hanging out with Strom Thurmond. He's hanging out with Robert Byrd. These were his people. So, he's being led around now by the millennials and the Gen Xers over there at the White House that are just, basically maneuvering like a meat puppet what to sign and what to do. In
Hmm.
his core, I mean, I don't know if he even has a core. He's supposedly Catholic. He's flipped on all that stuff. He's been on Fox News in the last couple decades bragging about Delaware being a slave state. He was talking about Obama was the first black guy that ran for president that took a shower, clean
Hmm.
and articulate,
First
I think he
clean,
called him.
yeah.
Yeah.
First
So, I
clean
mean,
black. Wow.
I mean, look, he
According to
should
him,
not.
it's all Indians that own the 7-Elevens and
That's
the
right.
racial jungle. I mean, he's said some doozies for sure.
Yeah, yeah, he's hanging out with Corn Pop.
Corn
He's
pop.
falling off he's falling off
It's a real
bikes.
bad dude.
He's assaulting women, and the Me Too movement doesn't care about that. I mean, the funny thing
No.
about look, the funny thing about The Walking Dead is there's a lot of shit. It's like Baskins and Robbins. There's a lot of flavors of it, right?
Yeah.
In the Me Too movement in general, I mean, Madonna's threatening to blow up the White House. She wasn't raided by the FBI. You know, even before COVID came along, they were pushing this stuff. And one of the crazy things about it is, you know, a lot of these left-wing women protected these males for years. They protect Bill Clinton, they protect Weinstein, they protect Epstein and Matt Lauer and on and on. Now,
All of them.
I mean, I'm glad that some of these guys got scalped, but there was a lot of people that just got sucked up into this thing and it was fake. It wasn't real.
Right.
A
Oh
lot of
yeah,
a lot of
there's
them were, you know, a lot of them were comedians,
mhm.
unprovable stuff like Aziz. And look, these guys aren't right wingers, but to be fair, you know, whether it's what is it, Aziz Ansari or Woody
Right.
Allen, who I defend in the book. I mean, he's been hunted for a long time by just a bitter woman. Is he the
Yes.
most normal guy on earth? No, he's not the most normal guy on earth. To be Woody Allen or to be Larry David or to be pretty much any great comedian, you need to be a little bit not normal.
Right.
So, you know, and some comedians have pushed back on this stuff, like Chappelle and Chris Rock and Ricky Gervais and Seinfeld. But if you're a comedian coming up tomorrow and you're trying to get gigs and you're watching these sort of Nuremberg trials of comedy go on where there's purges and banning, Kevin Hart had to get booted from the Academy Awards because he told a gay joke 20 years ago.
Hmm.
You know, you're probably going to toe the line
Right.
if you're not already powerful like Ricky Gervais or Seinfeld or Louis C.K. or whoever. You're
Sure.
probably going to toe the line. And that's chilling to me because that's
Yeah,
the
and
point.
AJ, that's
The,
such a great point too. That because my mindset there for a minute was, well, yeah, they're paving the way, they're making it, the ones that are pushing against, and but you're so right. If you're up and coming, if you want it, you're gonna do what you're told, pretty much, and that's scary. You're right.
yeah, I mean, you're not going to get gigs.
Mhm.
You know, now comedy is supposed to be, I think it was Penn Jillette and a few other philosophers have probably said this, that when, you know, when authoritarianism comes, if the comedians are scared, you've got a big problem because they're supposed to be the point of the spear. They're supposed to be the free speech absolutists.
Right.
And you got all these late night hosts that are these monochromatic, goofy white guys. They're all telling the same jokes. It's lazy. It's recycled Palin bits. They just swap out Palin's name for Trump.
Right.
And they're not creative. Their writers are obviously all from the same Woking Dead petri dish incubator.
Mhm.
Other than Bill Maher, who seems to be the only one who can, you know, sort of get outside of himself, outside of the shell, and knows, you know, he tells all kinds of jokes about everyone. I mean, he always was a libertarian for speech, and then, you know, when there's a Republican president, he kind of falls back into his, you know, make fun of Bush, make fun of Trump zone. But right now, he's out there. I mean, there's very few of them out there. You know, he's telling Michael Moore to shut the f up over the weekend. I mean, look, Bill Maher's an
I love
atheist.
that.
Bill Maher's an atheist. He's an atheist, right? But he knows that if he makes fun of Jesuits, they're not going to jump out of the bushes and stab him like they did Salman Rushdie. You make
Hmm.
fun of Islam, you know, all bets are off. And that's the thing about comedy. It's like, okay, well, if you're going to regulate this and not that, there are protected sort of no-go zones in when it comes to the Woking Dead. You can make fun of God, but only if you make fun of the right God, right? If you make fun of the
Right.
wrong God, like Allah or Obama
Hmm.
or Marx or Kamala Harris, or you make fun of the wrong deity, you get snuffed out. If you make fun of the
Yes.
right one, I mean, you can make fun of capitalism, you can make fun of, you know, white people and Jews and Christians, you know, because they're not protected classes.
Right.
So, you know, what we're looking for is more Democrats to step up and, you know, be free speech absolutists. Be like Lenny Bruce. Be like Richard Pryor. Be like,
Yeah.
you know, Joan Rivers, who I write about in the book. The epilogue of the book is dedicated to Joan. So,
Uh,
you know, I mean, look, I've always said that if I could, I would get a bunch of 747s or AWACS or something, and I would, you know, how we drop leaflets before we invade a country.
Right.
I would drop stand-up comics onto the college campuses of America. Drop Sam Kinison on them. Drop Dennis Leary on them. Drop Dice on them. Drop Rodney Dangerfield on them, and watch
Yeah.
the triggered snowflake head explosions.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah, they wouldn't be able to handle it. They would be crawling into their safe spaces and calling their therapists and, taking, whatever self medication that they choose to take of the moment. And yeah, they couldn't handle it. And, as somebody of a certain age, who remembers all of this stuff well. And I, when I watch those things now, I go, oh my God, they could not handle it. They could truly not handle it. And we've somehow managed to create a society of very, very fragile, delicate beings that can't handle the slightest bit of opposition, and it's frightening to watch. And a book like yours, The Walking Dead, I think it's such a great approach to bring the humor to it too, because even someone who doesn't agree can hopefully at least get a chuckle, and I sometimes accomplish that when I do these comedy skits with Kamala Harris, who, like you said, is considered to be one of the untouchables. They don't make fun of her. She's not a SNL skit every week. And, and I had people say to me like, oh my God, you're making fun of Kamala. Nobody's doing that. No one is making fun of her. Now we're all making fun of her,
Crazy.
but at the time when I started that, they're like, "Oh no, you can't do that. She's untouchable." And I'm like, "Why? It's just a walking joke, right? I mean, every sentence is a joke." So yeah, it's some
Well,
crazy
I
stuff.
mean, look, the reason why is these people filter their entire existence like a Benetton ad. It's a sushi menu of identity. It's race and gender, and I go home with Rick, or I go home with Sally. These people are defining their existence by who gives them an orgasm. It's insane, of course. If you try to go through life defining yourself that way, think about this. Can you imagine if we all sort of walked around and defined ourselves as, if you're hetero, out in public with pride, the way they're obsessed with, the LGBTQ mafia and race? I mean, it's nuts. I mean, the fact is, none of them are concerned with excellence. None of them are trying to be whatever best version of what they've got is. And when you're talking about the younger people, look, I'm a old millennial, but a millennial nonetheless. I'm kind of a geriatric millennial. I'm like the Gandalf of millennials, and so I know I can remember certain things from the '80s because I'm right on the cusp. Like I know, who John, like I said earlier, Andrew McCarthy. I know who the John Hughes movies are, right? I know what a VCR is and a laser disc player and all kinds of things. A pager, right? 911, the pager, but because of millennials sort of being the children of boomers, they're a little different than, say, Gen Z. I think millennials, most of them, have been trying to define their existence by finding a purpose. And sometimes the purpose changes a couple times. Sometimes the purpose is dopey. But they're not going to sit there and be a coal miner in corporate America or wherever for 50 years banking on some kind of pension or Social Security. It's just not happening. And because of
Right.
that, they've had to be crafty. They got hit by 9/11. They got hit by the '08 financial crisis. They've been hit by the China virus. They're turning 40. Some of them might have voted for Obama. But I think if you look at the landscape, a lot of them they're in their prime right now, and they can't afford to have children, and they can't afford to buy houses, especially if you're on the coasts.
Right.
Unless you've got some high median income. So I think they're pissed off, and they're not looking for, Uncle Joe to forgive their student loans. They're just looking for a little easier, financial path.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's you look at the generation after them, Gen Z. They're completely obsessed with identity and diversity and inclusion and all this other garbage. And yet they really don't have an identity. I've never seen
Right.
a group of people so devoid of identity, but so obsessed with getting one. Instead of just trying to be excellent, I tell people, young people, I'm like, be excellent for an hour today. just an hour. Then make it 2 hours tomorrow. Then try to be excellent for the whole day, and then a week and a month.
Right.
Maybe you're never gonna look. You're never gonna be Mozart, right? Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. But that's okay. You're
Hmm.
never gonna look like the enhanced girl on TikTok that's jumping up and down to whatever stupid song is on. But be yourself. Unplug some of that stuff. Look, I'm not an anti-technology person, because I think technology can bring you all kinds of things. Technology can bring you, Hamlet like that, or Frank
Right.
Sinatra like that. So, you know, but I think that they're lost. I mean, they're a generation born with a smartphone in their hand, and look, the left loves it. They love the fact that they've got them in their kooky, woke incubator. They're pumping this crap in. They're sending Stephen Gary into the women's locker room. They're telling them that all the founding fathers were Klansmen. I mean, they're taking down all kinds of statues. They're even taking down statues of you. So, I mean, it's bad when that happens. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
they're attacking religious symbols. So this was never just going to be about Robert E. Lee statues. And I think we
Right.
all kind of knew that.
Oh yeah, and this is, and I've had this conversation in the past about how the left is, diabolically smart. They played the long game. They've been plotting and planning this for way longer than we've taken it seriously, and that's where we're at the disadvantage. The public school system is the breeding ground for this type of, for lack of a better word, insanity. And you are so right that, this generation, this Gen Z, is profoundly lost. And I think that was the perfect word for it. They are truly lost, seeking identity in everything and anything, and not looking within. They want external fixes for everything. Like you said, the smartphone in hand, that is an external fix for everything. If I don't look beautiful, I can filter it. I'm going to compare myself to, success in their minds is Kardashian. And, achieving success is superficial means. So I'll be an Instagram star. I'll do this. And when that doesn't happen, they don't know what to do. They don't have work ethic. And I'm generalizing, of course. There are many exceptions to every rule. But that seems to be the case, that they are constant gratification.
Right. It's funny. I recently, and I was talking to my wife about it, and I've asked a few other analysts about it. I read this interview that Charlize Theron, the actress from Mad Max, and she's done. She won an Academy Award for Monster, where she played a serial killer. She's had a lot of diverse roles over the years. She's done like Atomic Blonde. She's done action. She's done other things, right? I don't know how much serialized TV she's done, but she's doing movies for Netflix. And it's funny. Here's a woman that is basically a model. She's a supermodel. She's had a ton of roles. She's brought in billions of dollars. Um, she's the face of J'adore, I think, for Dior, which is a perfume. Um, Kind of an incredible story. I think she's from South Africa. She's been married a couple times, but she's a big star. And she made this point. She was talking to Harper's that of all the stuff that she's done, she'll never be as big as Kim Kardashian. That she's not going to reach that level of stardom. And I'm thinking to myself, my God. Look, she can't get projects done. Wow, she's an actress. Obviously, some right
Right.
wingers right now are like, oh, boo hoo. But it's amazing to me because I don't know what she
Mhm.
can't get done. Maybe she can't get a bunch of left wing garbage made. I don't know.
Right.
But there's a bigger, I think, point here on whether or not we give a crap about quality in anything anymore, right? Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like if
Yeah.
Marlon
Yeah.
Brando,
Absolutely.
if Marlon Brando came along tomorrow, could he get a job?
Right.
I don't
Yeah. That's
know.
it.
I mean, I
You're
you know,
you're posing a really great question, because that's so true. We're talking about, um, sound bites are a way of life right now. Everybody wants everything ultra fast, ultra short. They don't want detail. They don't want depth. They just want quick information, and information that satisfies what they already think. They don't want anything opposing,
Sure.
anything different. They don't want dialogue. They don't want interaction,
Nope.
discourse. They don't want any of that. They just want quick, fast. And when you have articles on social media and it tells you that it'll only take you 3 minutes to read this article, and you have to make that decision. Oh, can I give up 3 minutes of my life to read this article? Probably not. That's scary times when they're telling you how long it's going to take you to read something, and if you can invest that time. It's weird.
Yeah, I mean, look, and it's an echo chamber. They want to hear their own opinions back to them. If they don't, they get triggered. It's kind of nuts. I
Hmm.
mean, and look, I mean, we had it 2 weeks ago. There were women of the View were trashing the Queen of England as being the leader of a white supremacy family that stole all the diamonds from their crown from all the brown and black people of the world, and this and that and the other thing. I mean, it's nuts. I mean,
It's
it's
nuts.
nuts. These people obviously don't know the history of the UK. They don't know the history of the House of Windsor. I mean, if anything, the House of Windsor should say you're welcome to all
Mhm.
these people, because nobody has given away more of their wealth and time and medicine and commerce than all the English speaking people. I mean, you want to talk about this planet Earth? I mean, between America, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and the UK, I mean, this place would be a dump without all of us. So spare me the colonialism garbage. Spare me the fact that England, abolished slavery 30 years before we did. We had to kill 600,000 of our own people to do it. They did it with an act in Parliament. So, but Sonny Hostin and these other schmucks on The View, they're throwing shade at the woman who's dead. This woman fought the Nazis. She fought,
Yeah.
communism. She was a staunch anti-communist. She was a cold warrior. But this is,
Hmm.
look, again, they're after everyone. We got Columbus Day coming up. Get ready, ladies and gentlemen. Gird your
Oh yeah, here
loins,
we go. Yes.
okay?
Yeah,
All those,
here we go.
all those, yeah, the brand new Washington Commanders fans, they're excited that the Redskins are gone, right? It's
Right.
insane. These are white people, most of them. I've never met a
Hmm.
black person that celebrates Kwanzaa. Never, never, ever. Just a bunch of white liberals. So,
Yes.
other than find me an Indian chief other than Elizabeth Warren who, is that upset about the Washington Redskins or Commanders or whatever the hell they're called now. So, I
Right.
mean, look, this is it though. They're after Churchill, they're after Lincoln.
Yeah.
They're kicking, they're whizzing on the Queen's grave already. It's outrageous because Elsa, you and I know what this has always been about. This has been about
Yeah.
the destruction of Western civilization. That's what it's
Right on
about,
the
girl.
nose.
Come on. Yeah,
Right
and
on the nose, sir.
Greco-Roman.
You guessed it.
Yeah,
Yeah, you called it.
yeah, that's what it's
Absolutely,
about.
100%. It's destruction for the sake of destruction, not for any other purpose. And I say it every time. The ones that scare me the most are the minions, because they just waddle along blindly to what these elite leftists are telling them that they should feel and think. And the Walking Dead right there. I suspect I've
That's
started it,
them.
but I'm not all the way through, and that spells it out. I think pretty succinctly, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, they're after all of it. Economically, they
Yeah.
want to destroy the middle. They want to destroy the middle class because the only time you can get a true peasant revolution is when there's no middle class. And then culturally, all our icons, they got to go. It's not. I mean, you could replace the Queen with George Washington. They say the same thing.
Right. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And they start eating their own as well. When they lose a target, they just start imploding. And yeah, that's always fun to watch when they implode. But nonetheless, it's scary times, it's dangerous times, and if we don't have books like The Woking Dead out and people speaking out and saying absolutely not, we're not going to tolerate this, we're not going to accept this, and pushing back, then we are lost. We're as lost as those Gen Zs, or Gen Zers. I don't really know, but
Yeah.
The Woking Dead. It's the full. Let me give the full title: The Woking Dead: How Society's Vogue Virus Destroys Our Culture. This is a must-read book or must-listen to. It's coming out on Audible pretty soon. Yes, is that correct? It's not
Yep.
on Audible
Yep. They're
yet,
coming
right?
out soon. Yep. Yep. Any minute.
Good, good, awesome.
Absolutely. No,
Tell
you can be able to
everybody.
get an audio version of it. And look, uh, you don't need me to read it, right? We got a professional to read it, but nobody wants to listen to hours of my Philadelphia accent. But it's gonna
I would enjoy
it's gonna
that.
be
I like it. I
Hey,
like
look,
it.
it's going to be fun. You'll be able to listen to it. You can put down some of the garbage music that comes out now and listen to me. So it'll be
There you go.
fantastic.
I love it. Tell everybody where they can find you and the book.
So, for the PR firm, if you're a conservative looking to get out there, you can go to publiuspr.com. You can see the superhero team I've assembled, everyone from, Monica Crowley to Don Jr. to Naomi Wolf. Getting the book pretty much everywhere. Walmart.com, Target.com, Barnes& and Noble, Books A Million, Amazon. Get yourself a copy. The holidays are coming up. I'm sure you've got some kind of lib wacko in your family. You know, bring some with you, leave it on their coffee table, wave it around in their faces a little bit. And look, vote with your wallet, ladies and gentlemen. Vote with your feet. You don't have to look. There's a million options for entertainment out there. You don't have to. If you don't want Disney in the NBA, you don't have to have Disney in the NBA. The one good thing technology's brought is options. So we're not married to any of these people. And then as far as voting, I got to say, get your ass to the polls in November. We got to send Pelosi into retirement. So we'll send her to Italy. She can be the ambassador to Italy. And Schumer, I mean, he's going to hang around forever. He's like Joe Biden, waiting for some dummy to put him make him their running mate. So let's get it. Let's go get it. I know the Republicans aren't always the best. I mean, Mitch McConnell's not exactly Michael Jordan, but we gotta fight for our country. It's the only way you're gonna undo some of this woke stuff at the government level.
Absolutely. Well said, sir. Guys, this was AJ Rice. Go get that book and read it. Share it with your friends, especially your leftist liberal ones who need a little awakening, not wokeness, awakening. Thanks again, AJ. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you. Big fan. You're a patriot. Keep fighting, girl.
Thank you. Same to you. Take care. All right, guys. This has been the Elsa Kurt Show. I thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.